What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? We got a little bit of news to talk about tonight. We got something with Carlos Correa. We're going to talk about the Seattle Mariners, the San Francisco Giants. We got a little bit of an update on the New York Mets. Let's get to it. And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello. Around 30 people in the chat to start things off. What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a good week. Hope you're all ready for the weekend. We got one more day until the weekend, and I got one more day of work until I am off for 2 weeks. And I am quite excited to have my 2-week Christmas vacation. I'm rather excited. That's one perk of being a teacher that I quite love. I can't lie. But more importantly, it's not going to be just nice having a couple of weeks off, just to recharge and whatnot. But I get to have some more time to make some content. I've been really busy lately at school. I've had a lot going on. I am just completely tired. So to be able to have a couple of weeks off so I can just focus on the channel a little bit more, I can't wait. I'm really excited. I have a lot of ideas for content that I want to be dropping. So expect a storm of content over the next couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Everyone, I want to thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you. If you can, hit that like button for me. If you are new, think about subscribing. We're on our way to 20K. We're trying to get to 20K by opening day. So if you are new, consider subscribing to the channel. Everyone, if you can, please do me a favor. Hit that like button for me. That's all I ask. That's going to help this stream get out there into the YouTube algorithm. The algorithm likes the like button. Everyone, if you can, also hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I go live, every time I upload. Also, hey, share the stream if you can. If you know anyone that might want to come in, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it wherever. But let's get to it, everyone. We got a few things to talk about. Again, we're in the lockout. It's a tough time right now for baseball fans. I feel like a lot of baseball fans right now, if you kind of look at all the channels right now, you're seeing a lot of views just down right now. I mean, and that's no surprise. You have nothing going on right now. It feels like any baseball insider, any reporter, they're just digging for anything at this point. So for me as a content creator, I'm having to try and come up with new ideas. I'm having to kind of go in a different route as of right now. So, but luckily I do have some things planned over the next couple of weeks. But we do have a few things to talk about. I won't keep you here long tonight, but I felt like these were, things that were pretty important to talk about. So let's get to our first story. Carlos Correa, hey, this is probably the biggest free agent left on the market. Some would say pretty surprised that he hasn't signed by now. Figured he would probably be a Detroit Tiger by now, but there is still a chance he could be a Detroit Tiger. I'm not going to give up on that just yet. As of right now, it's looking like maybe it is still possible he could be a Detroit Tiger. Let's get to the story here. And let's see what I am talking about here. So here is the latest on the market for Carlos Correa. So as of right now, like I said, still a free agent, obviously. You're seeing Corey Seager, Marcus Semien going to the Texas Rangers. Many people thought, hey, maybe Carlos Correa would be the first one off the board. That is not quite the case. But Buster Olney reported today that the Tigers offered him 10 years, $275 million, $27.5 million per year. That's some pretty big money right there. And it was reporting that there was a report last week. I talked about it on an earlier stream where he was only going to give medical information to teams if they offered him something. So the fact that the Tigers offered him something, I think that really shows they would like for him to come to Detroit. Now, the thing is they brought in Javier Baez. So it says right here, presumably, that offer came before Detroit signed Javier Baez at 6 years and $140 million. Although it is at least possible to see how Detroit could make room for both players on the roster and payroll alike. Now, again, I think signing Javier Baez, I don't think that necessarily means that Carlos Correa is not an option for them anymore. You can have Javier Baez play second base and Carlos Correa play shortstop. Simple as that. Do what the Texas Rangers did. Marcus Semien, Corey Seager up the middle. I don't see why the Tigers could not do that. So to me, the fact that the Tigers offered that big of money, I mean, I think that shows, obviously, they're pretty serious. Their interest is pretty serious in Carlos Correa. So I'm not going to give up on that just yet. I'm thinking probably Correa didn't want to accept that. He wanted to hold out for probably some more money. Felt like he could probably get a better offer. But I mean, hey, when you look at the options right now on the market, there's not a lot of options. When you take a look, the Rangers were an option. They brought in Corey Seager. When you took a look at the if you go to the bottom of the list here, I mean, you got teams like the Angels could use a shortstop. So maybe, he's waiting to see if maybe the Angels, could come forth with some kind of an offer. If they don't want to have, maybe they're going to have David Fletcher as their shortstop possibly. Because as of right now, this is looking a little underwhelming for the Angels. And we know the Angels, they like to throw money at these position players. So we'll have to wait and see if maybe the Angels emerge. A lot of people maybe thought the Yankees could be an option, but the Yankees, I don't know, they want to be a little more frugal, and they have Anthony Volpe and Oswald Peraza. So I don't know if they really want to go that route with the Carlos Correa. It's a lot of money there. I still think the Astros are a great fit, but do the Astros want to bring him back for that many years? I think that's going to be the problem. Reports were that the Astros offered him 6 years and $150 million a while back. So I think Carlos Correa, he wants to hold out for a longer-term deal. That's what I think personally. Obviously, to me, I still think he is a great fit for the Houston Astros. That seems to just make a lot of sense. The Chicago Cubs, if they're not going to go forth with Nico Hoerner as their shortstop, maybe they would like to add someone like that for the long term. That's always possible as well. Again, the Tigers. Javier Baez, I think, could be your second baseman. If we take a look at the Detroit Tigers depth chart as of right now, you do have Jonathan Schoop as your second baseman. I mean, to me, if you have the option of signing Carlos Correa, I'm going to go Baez at second, Correa at short. I mean, I did like what Jonathan Schoop did last year, but that would be an obvious upgrade. So, to me, I'm not going to give up hope on the Tigers, going after him, because if they offered him this much money before, I think they would still want to bring him in, even despite Javier Baez. So, look out for that. I'm not going to give up on that just yet. Again, if we take a look at the teams, like I said, the Angels I still think are a possibility. Do they want to focus more on pitching, though? We'll have to wait and see. The Astros absolutely would not rule them out. I still think overall they're probably the best fit. They're a team, and if they don't want to go with Jeremy Pena for the long run, to me, Carlos Correa is just the perfect option for them. Just come back home to Houston. The Cubs, I'd probably say no on the Cubs, because I think I just think they probably want to start focusing more on their younger players, and see if Nico Hoerner can emerge as that guy for them. So again, the Tigers. I think the Phillies maybe could be a bit of a dark horse. If I were to lean one way, probably not. I mean, they also have Bryson Stott there, so I think honestly they should just go with him. He hit really well in fall ball, so I think Bryson Stott should be the option for them. A lot of people have said the Cardinals. I don't see the Cardinals doing it. I think with Paul DeJong and Edmundo Sosa, I think you were counting on a bounce back season from Paul DeJong. The Cardinals don't usually go out and spend that kind of money, so. I don't know. I'm not really seeing anything. The Mariners, we've heard the Mariners a little bit. I don't see it with the Mariners. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. I think their focus is elsewhere. They've already come out and said, "Hey, JP Crawford's our guy." To me, if you have the choice to go get Carlos Correa, you do it. I mean, I know JP Crawford, that's your guy, but if you can make room for Carlos Correa, for someone of that caliber, you do it all day, every day. It's simple as that. So that's kind of the news right now on Carlos Correa, is that the Tigers offered him a big-time deal, 10-year, $275. It's really unknown whether or not that came before Javier Baez or after Javier Baez. To me, I don't think it makes much of a difference. I think if they're going to be offering that much money, that's a big offer right there. That's a long-term commitment for a good amount of money per year, for every single year. I think that shows they would still like to bring him in my opinion. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Where do you think Carlos Correa ends up? Do you think he goes to the Tigers? Do you think he goes back to Houston? There was even the mention of maybe even my Red Sox possibly being a contender for Carlos Correa. I don't see it, because I think they would have just brought back Mookie Betts with that money, and they didn't. So Andrew Ford, you were saying there's a rumor maybe the Braves. That'd be interesting. What do you do with Dansby Swanson at that point? That could be interesting. Combat Jones, man, appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. Let me know in the chat, everyone. What are you thinking here? What are you thinking for Carlos Correa? Where do you think he ends up? I want to see your predictions down below in the chat. Jesus Rodriguez, I still think the Cubs should take him. He would be a building block, absolutely. If Carlos Correa went to the Cubs, I mean, that's great if you ask me, for the Cubs. I mean, that accelerates their rebuild, or I wouldn't call it a rebuild. I would call it a retool a little bit. They got rid of some big contracts, but they still have some pretty good players on that roster. So seeing a couple for the Cubs here. I mean, hey, if you guys want the Cubs, let's just get them on the Cubs. Why not? Cubs rule. You're thinking Cubs. Absolutely. AK Vlogs is saying there's 30 likes right now. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. That's going to help get this out there for more baseball fans that are cold and lonely during this lockout. We got a lot of votes for the Cubs. Right now. Jared Cole, you're thinking Detroit. Oh, there's also the Dodgers. For Carlos Correa. I feel like personally they're probably, I don't know. What do I know? But I like the idea of Trey Turner at short. Give Gavin Lux the chance at second base. Give him the chance. Go fully dive in with Gavin Lux. I want to see what he can do. If you do bring in Carlos Correa, move Trey Turner back to second, then, Gavin Lux can be that utility guy for you. So I do like it. There's a lot of fits for Carlos Correa. I think, for me, I still think the Tigers, great fit. And that would really just move them forward just a little bit. Michael Rimmer, you're thinking the Yankees. That'd be cool. I would hate that as a Red Sox fan. I would hate that. R. Nixon, you like the Phillies for Correa. Michael Rimmer, you're thinking just anyone but the Tigers, not the Tigers. So, alrighty, let's get to our next story here. I'm not going to spend too long on this one, but we got some news. We got some news on the New York Mets. Let's take a look at this story here. So, they are looking for a manager. They're trying to find someone to lead the ball club back to the playoffs, and we have a little bit of an update here. We've had some interviews already happen. We got one supposedly going on tonight, and we got one going on tomorrow as well. Let's take a look at the story here. According to John Heyman, he was hearing today that Matt Quatraro made a good impression with the Mets higher-ups. He's also saying here, Astros bench coach Joe Espada interviews tonight, and the favorite, according to a lot of people, Buck Showalter, will be interviewing tomorrow. Showalter seems like the safe choice due to the successful MLB track record, but here it's more divided than the fans and the media expect. That's interesting to me. I think I've been saying this. I said this on the last stream. I think Quatraro is a bit of a dark horse for this job. I remember last year, before the Red Sox brought back Alex Cora, I thought Matt Quatraro could be a good fit for the Red Sox, obviously because he had the Chaim Bloom connection there with the Rays. But to me, I feel like Matt Quatraro could be a pretty good manager in this game. He's been a bench coach for the Rays now in the past few years, very analytically focused over there. That's the way teams are trying to go these days. And I feel like he would just be a good guy for a ball club. I feel like the Mets definitely would be a pressure cooker, but he is from New York originally, so that is one thing to consider with Matt Quatraro. Buck Showalter, I'm not gonna call it a slam dunk with him. I sure he would be a awesome fit on paper. But you gotta remember, with some of these veteran managers, you had Tony La Russa go to the White Sox last year and, won the division. That's good. But they got kind of ousted pretty easily in the playoffs there. So just because Buck Showalter, veteran guy, bringing him in, that was a really good White Sox team. And, Tony La Russa, one of the greatest managers of all time, they didn't get it done. A lot of people had the White Sox going to the World Series this past year. So just because you have a veteran manager doesn't mean that you have any better of a chance than maybe, say, like a newer manager. It's not really a slam dunk. Buck Showalter, obviously, he is looked at as the favorite because, he has the media thing. He's been on TV, and he's obviously been a manager in New York before with the Yankees. So he has the kind of like that gritty sort of mentality a little bit. He's a guy that's going to lead the ship. He commands respect, and Buck Showalter is a guy. He's a no-nonsense kind of a guy. He's going to manage the way he wants to manage. I think for the Mets, at the end of the day, I think it's really just going to come down to who are they going to connect with the most. Matt Quatraro is going to be a guy where I feel like, he's a guy where I feel like players should have a lot of respect for that guy, because he's been on a winning ball club with the Rays, and not just a winning ball club, a ball club where a very low payroll every single year. And this Rays team, they get so much out of these players. Matt Quatraro, to me, that is a guy where he's, in my opinion, I feel like he's probably been a big part of that team. So I feel like, to me, the fact that he's been a part of the success with the Tampa Bay Rays over the last few years with that low of a payroll, to me, I feel like players probably love this guy. I would have to go read more on what players have to say about Matt Cotrero, but the fact that he's been the bench coach there for the last few years, probably they got some good things to say. I feel like he would be a good fit with the Mets. Is he going to be as like the same kind of a personality as a Buck Showalter? Probably not. But again, Buck Showalter, I think, has been a very successful manager in the game, but just because he's a veteran guy does not mean it's going to win you a championship in Queens. Hey, Bobby Valentine, this was a guy, manager for the Mets for a long time, came to the Red Sox in 2012. Many people thought, the Red Sox need a bit of a culture change. They need a new guy. I still miss Terry Francona to this day, but they brought in Bobby Valentine after that complete collapse of a 2011 season, the beer and chicken year. And that was a dumpster fire. Bobby Valentine ended up being a horrible fit for the Red Sox, rode into the sunset on his bicycle in Boston, and we never saw Bobby Valentine ever again. So just because you're a veteran guy that's had success in the past does not mean anything. It comes down to who is going to be the best fit, who is going to connect with the front office, who is going to connect with the players. That's going to be what these people running the ship in New York, they're going to have to decide who is going to be the personality that's going to fit in the best with this organization. So right now, in my opinion, if I were to kind of go, I think it's neck and neck. I would say right now, if Matt Cotrero did make a good impression, I think it's neck and neck. And I think it's going to be, I'm going to be really interested. I'm going to be looking out for tweets on this tomorrow. Buck Showalter with the Mets. I'm going to be on the lookout everywhere. So be on the lookout for Buck Showalter tomorrow. So, let's move on here. Let's move on. We get a couple more stories. Again, I'm not going to keep you a long time tonight, but I have two more stories to talk about. More kind of spitballing here, but pretty interesting to talk about for these next couple of stories. Let's talk about the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners, big signing, bringing in Robbie Ray. But it's looking like the Mariners, they are not done just yet. They want some more pitching, supposedly. Taking a look here, even with Robbie Ray, they're looking to add some more starting pitching. Let's go take a look at the story here. According to the story, Mariners expected to pursue more rotation help after the lockout. So this is according to Corey Brock of The Athletic. Once that lockout is lifted, I'm telling you right now, hey, as exciting as it was before the lockout got put in place, once that lockout gets lifted, once the gates get lifted, oh boy, we're going to have a flurry of signings. I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully, I guess reports are also saying that they're probably, they're not going to get something done until at least July. They're right now, I guess they're held up on more of the economic issues. Sounds like, from what I've read, it sounds like it's not as dire of a bad of a situation as it might seem. I feel like they're probably pretty close. I feel like they just have to get some details ironed out. I would expect by the end of July they're going to have something. I don't think you want to go into February with no deal in place. I think you want, by the end of January, get that lockout, just end the lockout, get it done. You don't want to go into February with, because these are guys where spring training's coming around. They don't want to sacrifice any spring training. That is a no-no. You don't want that. I would think Major League Baseball, they probably want to get something done by mid-January. I think because it gives them a month until pitchers and catchers report, one solid month before the season, before spring training. I think that's going to be a nice time frame for everyone. So that, to me, is probably the goal. I would say mid-January. That's going to be my guess. So Brady Johnson, what's going on, my friend? Taryn Upchurch, hello. Jeremiah, hello. Greeny Boy, what's going on? Oh, did I say July? Wow, there's my potato brain kicking in. I meant January. I'm sorry. Could you imagine if we're locked out until July? Oh, my God. I would just run into oncoming traffic at that point. My goodness. No, I did not mean July. I'm sorry. January. Sorry. Potato brain. Watch out for that. But let's talk about the Mariners here. The Mariners have made one of the biggest rotation pickups of the offseason already, signing Robbie Ray. So as of right now, if we take a look at the rotation for the Seattle Mariners, it's not a bad-looking rotation as of right now. You got Robbie Ray, Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen, Logan Gilbert, and Justin Dunn. So, to me, when I look at Robbie Ray, I really like the season that he had, but I look at Robbie Ray as almost like a really good number two. He's like he's like a 1-2. He's kind of in that mix. He's not like a surefire number one like a Max Scherzer. I look at Robbie Ray as a really strong number 2 in a rotation. If they can get one more guy, I'm not sure who they go out and go get, but that would, I think, really help this rotation. The reason I'm saying that, you're probably thinking, well, Robbie, this rotation is looking pretty good. Well, according to the Fangraphs projections, the Mariners, as of right now, are only projected to be 19th in starting pitching. So, I mean, there are projections. Projections can always change, of course. But to me, there's one thing that worries me about Robbie Ray a little bit, and that was the home runs per 9 that he gave up. If we go back to his season stats here, a very good season overall, but he got bit by the home run a little bit last year. 1.5 home runs per 9. That actually didn't rank very well. If we take a look here at the leaderboards, where are the leaderboards here? Robbie Ray actually ranked 5th worst in home runs per 9. Patrick Corbin taking the cake with almost 2 home runs per 9 over 31 starts. But Robbie Ray, out of all the qualified pitchers, only ranked 5th overall, or 5th to last overall. So that's not very good. So Robbie Ray, that worries me a little bit. If we actually go to his baseball savant page, he would have actually been projected to give up a couple of more home runs with the Mariners last year. So that is something to keep an eye out for. He got bit by the home run a little bit. He did improve some of these other numbers. The walks were down. That's been the big thing with him. He's getting the walks down. That's huge. The strikeouts were still up, and he got the walks down. So he's always been kind of bitten by the home run ball a little bit. He's never been like a below 1 home run guy since 2015. So that is one thing to keep an eye out for. So that's what worries me just a smidge with him. So he was leaving some balls over the plate. But overall, Robbie Ray had a great season last year. Now, if you're to, let's talk about what the Mariners are trying to do here, trying to add some more starting pitching. Well, let's take a look at the current starting pitching free agents available as of right now. Carlos Rodon is the top guy according to his wins above replacement last year, as well as his projected WAR. They're projecting him to get around $19 million per season over 4 years. You got Clayton Kershaw. Tyler Anderson was just on the Mariners. I don't think he's going to go back. But after that, there's not a lot really where you get really excited about. So what route would they go? I don't know. Carlos Rodon could be pretty fun. But I think at that point, I don't know. I worry about the shoulder a little bit. Could you go, with some of these other guys? Maybe like a veteran guy. Maybe someone like John Lester. He's a Seattle guy. He's from Seattle, or he's from Washington. Maybe you could bring John Lester home on like a 1-year deal. A veteran guy for the rotation. I don't know if that makes you really that much better. The one guy I would kind of want to improve, get an upgrade over is Justin Dunn. I feel like Justin Dunn, he's a very hittable guy. His FIP worries me. If you look at the FIP last year, the ERA was a 3.75, but look at the FIP, 4.74. I don't know. That's a full run higher. And then his xFIP was a 5.61. So I don't know. I don't like that all that much. So last year, he gave up 37 hits over 50 innings. Justin Dunn's a hittable guy. So I wonder if maybe he would be better suited for the bullpen. I don't know. So if they could get an upgrade where maybe a back end guy or maybe a top of the rotation kind of a guy, where you can maybe push these guys down, where Chris Flex and Logan Gilbert, they're maybe like the 4 and the 5 in the rotation. One guy I do really like is Logan Gilbert. I expect this guy to take a step forward next year. As of right now, he is projected for next season. He's expected to have a better ERA. His FIP is projected to be higher. They're actually projecting him for a lower FIP or a lower WAR next year. I don't know. Logan Gilbert, there was a lot of good stuff from him this past year. I know some guys, they can go through some sophomore slumps, but I'm pretty excited to see what Logan Gilbert can do next year. He looked really good at times. So, and the Mariners also, they have some good young guys down below. You got Matt Brash, you got George Kirby. So be on the lookout for that guy, for those guys. So if you're to take a look here, who's some starting pitchers? I don't know. If you're not going to bring in someone like a Rodon, I would probably imagine Kershaw wouldn't go. But you got some other guys. Maybe you could bring in Danny Duffy on a cheap deal. You got some other guy, maybe like someone like a Michael Pineda. Matthew Boyd could be interesting. He'd probably come cheaper. So he got non-tendered. So that could be a cheaper option. Maybe a veteran like a Zach Greinke. I would imagine Yusei Kikuchi. Maybe they bring him back. Maybe they bring him back for some cheaper money. I don't know. Martin Perez is just, ugh. I've just never been a fan of Martin Perez. I appreciate your time with the Red Sox, but I don't know, my friend. I don't know. But, you got some names, but these aren't really guys that are going to, like put you over the top. Garrett Richards could be interesting for your bullpen. I think Garrett Richards, to me, I think this is a guy, he's just way better suited for the bullpen. So, I don't know. If I were to lean one way, I could see them maybe going after someone like a Matthew Boyd. I think that could be pretty fun. Maybe Greinke as a veteran guy, like a 1-year deal. Didn't have a great season last year, but he will give you a lot of innings. So, I think that could be pretty good. Danny Duffy could be a bit of a wild card signing. Like he didn't even pitch for the Dodgers, but he was really good with the Royals before he got traded. I think right now, if I were to lean one way, I would probably think here the Mariners maybe bring in someone for the back end. Maybe like an innings eater kind of a guy. So, someone they can depend on for every 5 days. So be on the lookout for that. Who do you think the Mariners should sign for the rotation? Should they sign anyone? Do you think they should just stick with what they have? Are they good with just Robbie Ray? Or do you feel like they should bring in another guy? Someone, maybe an ace kind of a guy, maybe a back end kind of a guy. Could they make a trade? Maybe they can go out there on the trade market, see if they can bring in another guy. So let me know. What do you think the Mariners should do? I would love to see what you all think. Bandage 62, I see you. You're thinking they can trade for a starting pitcher. Yeah, Jared Cole, that is true about Boyd. So they could maybe, bring him in for later on. So Lee G, Dipoto said he wants a number 2 now, so I can't imagine he'll settle for those lower guys. I'm just wondering who would be that number 2. Would it be a Carlos Rodon? 2 lefties atop the rotation, Rodon and Ray? Or they could trade for someone. Hey, Jay Bell, I see you in the chat. Maybe Sean Manaea could be a pretty fun fit from the Oakland A's. I think for the Oakland A's, if they're trying to clear rotation, or what am I talking about right now? If they can clear payroll, maybe they can, Sean Manaea in the rotation, maybe send him over to the Mariners, That could clear some payroll for them. So, or Jeremiah Hardell. You got Sonny Gray. You got Luis Castillo in Cincinnati. I think that could be pretty fun too. Luis Castillo could be pretty fun. You know what, everyone? You know what? Now you're getting the juices going. Let's see. Let's go back here before I move on to my last story. Let's take a look here. Let's go to one of my favorite websites. Let's go to Baseball Trade Values. Let's take a look here. What would it take for the Mariners to maybe bring in a Luis Castillo? Let's take a look here. All right, I think this could be pretty fun. And hey, with the Mariners, you got the prospects. You got the prospects to get a deal done. Let's do Luis Castillo. Let's take a look here. Got a big value, 68.3. The reason? He's young. He's good. He did have his problems last year, but still very good. He looked very good after his that first month. He looked very good after that. But he's cheap and he's under control, so that's why you're going to have a big value from him. So let's see. What is a trade going to look like here? Well, I would imagine probably going to have to send back one of these better prospects. Would you send back a George Kirby? I know that might be kind of hard for Mariners fans to swallow, but I don't know. Let's avoid George Kirby right now. Let's pull up actually the Mariners. Let's go to the Mariners' top prospects. Icy Panda. Who do I think the Red Sox should go get? I think they should get an arm for the bullpen. I think that'd be pretty nice. Wouldn't mind Seiya Suzuki or Trevor Story. To be honest with you, I would love Trevor Story. Move Xander Bogaerts over to second. I would love that. That would improve the defense. A good right-handed bat. He's a pull hitter usually with Trevor Story. So I would love that. Trevor Story in Boston. I would be all over it. Taking a look here. Oh, we got 90 people in the chat. What's going on, everyone? Can we get to 100 people before we get out of here? Let's take a look here. Well, we got George Kirby as your number 3. And then we got, someone like Matt Brash as your number 10. You got Brandon Williamson down there as well. You got Levi Stout, Connor Phillips. You have Emerson Hancock. I'm wondering, could you... I'll tell you right now, if you include a George Kirby, you're really closing the gap. You're really closing the gap. He's a lot of value. So, but that's going to be tough to swallow, man. But you have to remember with trades, you have to give up something good to get something good. I know you maybe want to, maybe offer a few more prospects down here, but sometimes you got to offer the goods, man. If you want someone like a Luis Castillo, someone like a George Kirby might have to be someone that has to be included in this trade. I don't know, man. That's pretty tough. Now, but let's do it without George Kirby. Let's see if we can do it. Could you send over someone like a Kyle Lewis? They could use a right fielder. I mean, could you do that? With a Kyle Lewis, if you take a look at the lineup right now, right now he is projected to be their DH. So if you're the Mariners, if you go get Kris Bryant, you can put Kris Bryant at third, Toro as your DH or whatever. I think if you include someone like Kyle Lewis, that could really help. I'll tell you right now, if you do George Kirby, Kyle Lewis, that gets it done. That gets it done. If it's just those two guys for Luis Castillo, it gets it done. Go sign Kris Bryant, and I think you got a pretty good team. You got a really good team at that point. Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray at the top of the rotation, Kris Bryant in the lineup. I know George Kirby would be tough to lose. Kyle Lewis, he's a fan favorite, but he was hurt all this year. The Reds could use an outfielder, and I don't know. He's definitely been hurt. He's had the stuff with his knee. What is the news on what is the news? I'm pretty sure Kyle Lewis is going to be fine for the 2022 season. So it says here, general manager, this was December 1st, said Wednesday the team is counting on Lewis to produce as a hitter in 2022. Unsure if he will play center field, left field, or DH. So Kyle Lewis is going to be healthy. There's a lot of projection there. Rookie of the year back in 2020. So he's a good player. He just has to stay healthy. So if you look at his 2020 season in 58 games, he did really well. Hit 262, 364 on base, 11 homers. So his thing is health. But to me, I don't know. That's not a bad looking trade if you ask me. Let's take Kyle Lewis out of it. Let's say you want to keep him. It's hard not to include someone like George Kirby because he really makes up a lot of the difference there when it comes to the value. Could you do Emerson Hancock? I don't know. Let's say Emerson Hancock. Let's say Kyle Lewis. At that point, you're about 30 points away, 30 million away. Brash. Williamson. You're still 10 away. That's a lot at this point. You're giving up 4 players here. Whatever, let's do 5. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, Deloche. It's a lot. To me, I feel like you're going to have to include someone like Kirby. Do you want to do this? Do you want to just let's just reset this. Let's get these guys off the board. And could you, this is going to be really tough to maybe think, but could you do a Noelvi Marte? I don't know. Marte and someone like Williamson. I don't know. Mariners fans, let me know. Would you do this? Would you give up Noelvi Marte and Williamson for Luis Castillo? Any Mariners fans, Lee G, I know you're there. Would you do this? Hey, you say Hancock and Deloche is a good start. Deloche is a bit underrated there, I'd say. Yeah, I would imagine maybe some of these guys can get some bumps. Definitely not. Mariners fans not liking this. Not liking this. You want Noelvi Marte, man. He is good. He is good. I think that might be a little too much. And the Reds already have a young shortstop over there as well. So would they really be intrigued by that? So I don't know. Let me know. Mariners fans, would you be okay with giving up George Kirby? I don't know, man. I think that might. I don't know. That might be tough to swallow. Yeah, League G, he would be hard to lose. Mariners fans, would you include George Kirby in a trade for Luis Castillo? You got to remember, I know you might not want to give up these players, but you got to. Trust me, when the Red Sox got Chris Sale, I was very unhappy, having to give up, these top guys, that we had to send back. Do you think I really wanted to give up the players that we had to for Chris Sale? I mean, that was hard to swallow. Yohan Moncada? I loved Yohan Moncada. I was a little, afraid of the strikeouts with him, but I was pretty sad about losing Yohan Moncada. That was our top prospect. So with Luis Castillo, I mean, he's not a Chris Sale by any means, but he's still really good. Luis Castillo is really good. So yeah, I know. Bandage 62. I know. He's incredible. George Kirby, man. Well, let's do a deal without Kirby. Let's see if we can. I would honestly say you got to include Kyle Lewis, because you're really gonna make up some value there. I think you got to be okay. You got to be okay with something, Mariners fans. You got to be okay either giving up Kirby or Lewis. You got to include one of those guys, I think, personally. So yeah, I agree, Jay Bell. He's definitely not. Castillo is definitely not Chris Sale, absolutely. But I mean, he's still pretty good. So you got to remember, Yohan Moncada, this was like a top prospect. This is one of the top prospects in the game. Like, I believe Yohan Moncada at that time, I believe he might have been top 10 at that point. That was a big prospect. And there's still a lot of room for Yohan Moncada too. Where is Kirby on this list? Kirby, 33. Yeah, he's going to be really good. Mariners fans, you should be excited about Kirby. He was their first round pick in 2019. I mean, look at his numbers. Very good. Very good last year. He had 80 strikeouts in 67 and 2/3 innings. And Double-A, he was awesome. 2.77 ERA. 28 Ks over the 26. That would be tough. That's very tough. So, let's do it without Kirby. Let's get Lewis. You got to be okay with giving up Lewis. I'm sorry. You got to do it. You got to do it. Or I see you League G. Maybe you could maybe you could take on some money. Maybe you could take on someone like Moustakas. Oh, League G, I like the way you think. Oh man. Could you take off that contract from Moustakas? And at that point, you might have something here. And then, Lewis and maybe let's do Deloche and Williamson. How about that? Oh, come on. Let's do it. That's pretty good. 35.8, 35.9. I mean, come on. That's looking pretty good. The Reds are getting a major league ready guy in Kyle Lewis. You're getting an outfield prospect in Deloche. You're getting Williamson. I think you could do that. But now would the Reds want to do that? That you gotta be, if you're a Reds fan, or if you're the Reds, would you want to do that? Now that's the question. Remember, it takes two to tango here. So let's say this. Let's say the Reds came back and they said, all right, let's say this. Mariners fans, hear me out here. Would you, let's say you're on the phone. You're on the phone with the Reds GM and they said, all right, we don't want Deloche. We don't want Williamson. We don't want Deloche. No Williamson, but we want Hancock. Would you do this? Would you do Hancock and Lewis for Castillo, and you're also taking Moustakas? Would you do this? Let me know. I need a thumbs up in the chat. I need a thumbs down. would you be willing to give up Hancock, your first round pick? I'm just saying, you know, the Reds, I don't know if they would do that other trade, but they might come back and be like, hey, we want Hancock. I'm just saying. Well, Ben Myers, we're kind of just spitballing right now, but we're kind of thinking because the Mariners, they're looking for more pitching. So there's not a lot of options left on the free agent market, unless you're looking at maybe some veteran guys. But, you know, maybe a trade. Luis Castillo's out there. Just saying, you know, I think for both teams, it might be hard for the Reds. I mean, I know the Mariners would be giving up Moustakas in this, or the Reds would be giving up Moustakas here, which would help them, especially with payroll. I don't know, man. I feel like that other package, it might be a little weak. So, hey, we got 106 people. We broke 100 people in the chat. What's going on, everyone? Yeah, Lee G, you're thinking of all the prospect starters, I think Hancock is the most movable. So I wouldn't count out Luis Castillo to the Mariners. I wouldn't count it out at all. But let's move on here. Let's talk about one more team here. Let's talk about the San Francisco Giants. The San Francisco Giants, it's looking like they're not wanting to spend any big money. And I'm not surprised. I mean, you didn't bring back Kevin Gausman. I thought they were going to bring him back. But the Giants, they are frugal. They don't like to spend money. I've noticed this with the San Francisco Giants over the years. They are very, they're not willing to spend the big bucks, but, and that's kind of lining up with what this story is. Not looking to give out any 9-figure deals. No $100 million contracts for the San Francisco Giants. So let's go take a look at the story. The Giants unlikely to pursue free agents with 9-figure asking prices. Well, that would automatically no to Kris Bryant. I feel like everyone pretty much saw that coming. Kris Bryant's probably not going to go back there. But once they didn't bring back Kevin Gausman, that said a lot to me. That definitely said something to me. But if you're the Giants, you could still make some improvements. You know, you don't need to be giving out any big contracts at all. You could still make some improvements. I still think you could bring an outfielder. Maybe, you know, Lamont Wade Jr. is currently projected for left field. You could still bring in someone. You could still bring in a couple of guys. I think they could use something for this offense. It feels like it's missing something. Because when you take a look at this offense, your leader right now, Yastrzemski had 25 homers, but only had the 311 on base. I would like that to get better. Brandon Belt was your guy last year, but how is he going to be? I think he's going to be fine, but you know, he had the you know, the broken arm, or was it the broken arm? He had a fracture in his hand or his wrist. I can't remember. But how's he going to be next year? You got a lot of left-handed bats, so I would maybe wonder a nice right-handed bat for the outfield. You know, one guy that screams to me right now, he's not going to cost you $100 million. He's not going to, and he can play some outfield. It would be Seiya Suzuki. I think Seiya Suzuki could be a really nice addition for the San Francisco Giants. Do they have him on here? Seiya Suzuki, where are you? Is he on here? Oh, maybe they don't have him on here because he's international. But that is someone I think. Seiya Suzuki could be someone that is really nice for the San Francisco Giants. I would like that a lot. So he could slide right into left field out there. If you take a look at his stats from last year with the Hiroshima Carp, man, oh man, he hit well. Hit 317, the 433 on base, had the 38 homers, 88 RBIs, 636 slugging. I mean, that's in Japan, yes. But with Seiya Suzuki, you're probably looking at someone, according to the projections, you're probably looking at, you know, maybe like a 260 to 280 batting average, maybe around 20, 25 home runs, you know, maybe like around 60, 70, maybe 80 RBIs. I think Seiya Suzuki could be a pretty nice addition for a lineup. The Red Sox are hot after him. The Yankees are hot after him. The Blue Jays are hot after him. So that's one thing to consider. I think Seiya Suzuki would be a really nice addition for the San Francisco Giants. You can just put him out in left field. Lamont Wade Jr. can go back to the role that he was in last year. So I think that would be great. If we take a look at some other bats, I'm looking at some right-handed bats. Let's take a look here. Let's just go to the batters. So yeah, no $100 million guys. Well, Nick Castellanos is someone. Hey, $64 million. I mean, you know, that could be someone, especially if you have the universal DH. They could use a right-handed bat. The Giants tend to like guys that they like to have quality at bats. So that's one thing the Giants really preach. They like to, you know, work the counts. They don't like their guys to chase. But Nick Castellanos was someone, he actually had a pretty low chase rate last year. Let's pull up the stats here. Pulling up Nick Castellanos. So as you can see here, he ranked near the bottom when it came to chasing pitches. He swung and missed a lot. He didn't walk a lot. So surprisingly, it's funny because he had a 362 on base, but he didn't walk a lot. So the guy just hits. So I don't know if he's really a fit with what the Giants like to do. So keep that in mind. The next guy would be a Kyle Schwarber. I think he fits as being like an on-base guy, but you're getting really left-handed heavy at that point. Anthony Rizzo left-handed. I mean, he's first baseman, so you got Brandon Belt already. Kyle Seager could be someone. That could be a cheaper addition. So, you know, they could maybe slide someone in over there. Especially if you get the universal DH. I mean, you do have Evan Longoria. So maybe Kyle Seager, if you have that DH, maybe that could be an option. So right now, when I'm looking at these free agents, Eddie Rosario could be a guy, but he's a left-handed bat. So Jorge Soler. Could you do a Jorge Soler for left field? He's a power hitter. That could be pretty nice. So he would be cheap. I mean, if you have the DH, Nelson Cruz. So I think the Giants are going to be a team that really benefits from having a universal DH. So I'd be pretty interested to see if they would add someone like that. So that's what I think. I think right now, position player-wise, I think Seiya Suzuki would be the best fit for the Giants because he can fit right there into left field. He's not going to be a 9-figure, you know, contract guy. And he's a right-handed bat. I think he checks off those boxes with, you know, maybe some of these other guys. Again, you're very left-handed heavy in this lineup. You got a ton of lefties in here. You only got 2 righties in this lineup. So the only righties that I'm seeing here, you got Soler. You could have Cruz, Castellanos for DH. I mean, could you maybe? I don't know. Well, no, I take that back. I was about to say maybe Trevor Story, but no, he's going to be too expensive. So, or I completely slipped. Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto could be pretty good. So you could put him in left field. Oh no, he's a left-handed bat. He's a left-handed bat. I mean, unless the Giants really want a lefty lineup, you could bring in Conforto. But the right-handed bats, the guys that I'm seeing, you got Soler. I mean, Simmons can't hit anything. Maybe Tommy Pham. I don't know if is Tommy Pham really that bat that's gonna, put you over the edge. I don't know. So my vote would be Seiya Suzuki. He checks off all the boxes. So that's what I think. But that's all I have for tonight, everyone. Just a quick show for tonight. We got this done in under an hour tonight, so there's just not a lot to talk about. But I want to get out of here. I want to try and... I'm still working on an MLB The Show video. I had a really sad moment. I was just about to get... maybe not just about to get done with the Detroit Tigers MLB The Show rebuild, but I was near the end of the 3rd season, and... or not the end of the 3rd season, near the end of the 2nd season. Or I was in the off season, actually. I was in the off season. And I just completely messed up with the roster and everything just got ruined and I had to start back over. So I need to get back to work on that. I got to get that out. I've been promising that for the last couple of weeks now. I apologize about that. But I want to get that done. Really quick before I get out of here. Jarrett Cole, what kind of player could the Tigers get if they use Dingler as a trade centerpiece? I mean, Dingler would be a pretty nice trade piece. I think he has around $15 million of value. I'm thinking if you're the Tigers, I would imagine, if I'm looking at the Tigers right now, I mean, honestly, I know they got the young starting pitching. I would love it if they could add a starting pitcher. But I don't know. I think Luis Castillo would be great. Go get Luis Castillo. I think he would be a great fit for the Tigers. Be a really nice right-handed arm just for the top of that rotation with Eduardo Rodriguez up there. I think that'd be great. But I think Dingler could definitely be a trade piece. But with because you got Barnhart there, you got Haas. So Dingler is interesting because he's kind of a project at catcher. So Dingler, I think, he could end up playing in a lot of other positions. He has a good arm. So he could end up being an outfielder at some point if he doesn't work out as a catcher. But Dingler, I think, has a lot of value. So that could be a nice trade piece. But everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Like I said, I'm going to get back to work on this MLB The Show video because I really want to get that out for all of you. Everyone, have yourself a good night. I probably won't be here tomorrow night live. I usually don't go live on Fridays. But, hey, maybe if maybe I'll change my mind. I'll go live tomorrow night. Maybe. We'll see. I'll see what tomorrow night's looking like. But have yourself a good night tonight, everyone. Have a good day tomorrow. Enjoy your Friday. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you next time.